This daf Yerushalmi Challah in the article Oz V'Hadar additional daf Lam Gimel up the second line. Bun Bar Chia Boikam Rabbi Zira, which is in the Vilna on the first line on Yud Tes Amud Beis, and this sugya is going to talk about bittul of kachim in chulin, specifically menachos in plain grain, and it's also going to make a linkage and parallel to a dough which is still tevel for the purpose of challah, and getting mixed up into a dough which is not tevel for the purpose of challah. Okay, now we're going to draw correlations between the two. Mincha she's arva, mincha which got partially mixed up, not completely. Bechulin, in chulin, so obviously you can still distinguish what's the part which is still completely hekdesh. So kometz, you can do a kometz to the part which is still hekdesh, and permits the rest of the mincha to be eaten. Karni 11 it says mincha aronofanov. It counts as falling into the parameter of the pasuk, which says that the rest of it goes to Aaron's children. So the question was, the implicit question is, do we say that since part of the mincha is batal in chulin, since part of it got mixed into chulin, so it's as if the mincha got lost. It's like a mincha which is missing part of it got lost, a mincha which is lacking a part of it, and therefore where it's like part of it before Kmitza, and therefore it's possible, like it says in Menachos Per Gimel Mishnah Hey, and so from a pasuk Misal Ta, if it's missing anything, then it's possible, and the Shiraim are not permitted by this Kmitza. Do we say, since part of the Mincha is still extant, explicit, outright, even though part of it is mixed in, it's as if the entirety is there and can still fulfill the context of the meaning of the pasuk and the says no. So that's the question. He's saying that it works. Korean Yalev says mincha. Amalei said, wait. Tevel shenisar b'chulin. So Vizir said by tevel it says Nesarti means chumas Hashem Aaron Kohen. It says you have to give the truma from the tevel to Aaron. That you have to set aside truma samais from tevel, which is here and present and accounted for, and so there also we should have the same question. When part of the tevel becomes batal in chulin, do we say that the tevel is bain and you could separate from the side of truma samais? They say that it's batal chulin, so the tevel is as if it doesn't exist, and you can't be mavish at least in that part. So that's what I asked him. So he said, so we've changed gears up. The Gra and Levi Shem take out Amar Levi, and it should be say Vamartalach, the not it says Shemotzi Mimenu Alav Lo Mimakom Acher. So Lo Mimakom Acher. Shemotzi Menu, not Shemotzi Menu. Shemotzi Menu Alav Lo Mimenu Mimakom Acher. Right. It says in the Mishnah. So if you have dough for which the challah was not removed, so it's tevel for challah that fell into a dough from which the challah was removed, which is of course chulin, that you take a challah in order to fix the dough, but you can't take on another dough. So we say that so it seems clear that the tevel that fell into the chulin is as if it's explicit. It's still there, I should say. And this is true, which is also by mincha, which is mixed in the chulin, that the mincha is considered as it's there, and it can come into maktir and be matir the shiraim. So this really is what we learned from our Mishnah. When our Mishnah had said, "Anotos armi isa shlom machalasa," and that's told isa shahur machalasa. Yesh lepasim makamach masiv cheshbon bilam masi chalach haslako. So you take challah minei ubei, and it's matir. the Isa, we don't say part of it is batel and it causes problems. So the same thing we're saying that over by the mincha we say until they come it's internally and it's and everything is fine and dandy. So the Gemara goes on now. Now here it says motzi and melkamacher, but here the Gra changes again, or the Yerushalmi changes it. It should be intim shtena loch she'eno kometz umatias shirayim la'achila afilu meno olav no motzi. So he says, if you're going to say about mincha, the one's going to mix them chulin, then it's as if the mincha is null and void. At least the parts got mixed up, and it can't become it's imatis yishrayim because it's missing part of it. So in a Sotar Mishnah, if tevel got mixed in the chulin, the tevel dough in chulin dough, so the tevel should be considered as if it's not there, and you can't be mafresh on it even internally, even unto itself. Masnitz and Amar shemotzi meno love, right? And our Mishnah says you can. The thing is, says im lab yotzi challah chasakov. You can't take from elsewhere. You take from it on itself. So Armin, so that was their conversation between Rabbi Rechia and Rabbi Zira, and they made this connection between our Mishnah. What you see, you can take challah from the identifiable tevel on what's not identifiable. On the you can do the same thing by mincha. You can take from the identifiable mincha on that which is no longer identifiable because it got mixed up in chulin. Okay, and everything works. Okay, now the Gemara says, Armin, they said, so the Bnei Yeshiva said that the words of Rabbi Zir are not a response to Rebun Barchia. Because if you're going to infer from that which it says that Mosi Meno love in our Mishnah, so that the tevel which got mixed up in the chulin is considered as if it's still there. In that case, on the contrary, you should be medaik from that which it says you can't be mavish from it elsewhere, that the tevel is this the bottle, it's going to be sheino, right? So there must be something going on in our Mishnah. What's the chiluk between internally where it works and externally where it can't work, right? So it's what it says. Let's say to see right boom ma ben motzi menu alav ma ben motzi menu memokom acher. What's in between the two? So the Gemara of the Bnei Yeshiva, I guess, wanted to give a very interesting distinction based on the concept of min b'mino lo batel, according to Rabbi Yehuda, holds min b'mino lo batel, Menachos Tavcha Beis, and elsewhere. So the we know what's considered to be min b'mino. That's not what's not considered to be min b'mino. Usually, min b'mino is something where it's determined by the substance, but here it's going to be determined by the halacha. Okay, so the let me say it outside before I say it inside. When you separate internally, so not all the tevel and tarovis can become challah because you need a shear, just like by truma, you need to have a shear. So in Peragav halacha vav. So since some of the tevel will always remain chulin after you set aside the challah, so it's like a tarovis min b'mino, which is not batel, according to Rabbi Yehuda. So even though normally we say that the davar batel is if it's not there, by tevel which got mixed up in chulin, it's a tarovis min b'mino, and it's not batel, which is very shocking. Let's try this. Let's try it again. Make it less shocking. It's still going to be shocking, but okay. There's always going to be chulin left here, right? The chulin, which is going to be because you have to always leave those. There's only going to be chulin left from the tevel, because the tevel cannot become completely challah. It's not possible. So therefore, at the end of the process, is going to be some chulin. That chulin is not batel in the other chulin, which is from the dough from which the challah is going to be taken off. They're both chulin. And since it's chulin b'chulin, it's not batel. Even though, what do you mean they're both? So they're both chulin. So what do you put bittul for? But no, that's exactly the point. So you have chulin A and chulin B. So therefore, the chulin A, which is the chulin from, which is left over from the process of challah you're about to do, can't be batel chulin B, which is the chulin from the process of challah, which has already been done previously to introducing this new tevel into this chulin dough. So therefore, there's no problem. That chulin is not batel, and therefore the chulin A is not batel, and therefore the challah you're about to take off now works for the chulin A. Not a problem. Okay, so let's read that inside. The way, and he changes the gears a bit here in the Yerushalmi in the Gra. Says the way to read it. B'shashu motzi mimenu olav. They're taking internally. However, enos tevel roilesus truma. A kayotzibo, since the tevel which is going to be left at the end, chulin A, cannot become truma. Ein chulin shebon vatlet, so chulin B cannot be vatlet. If it's effective. However, on the other hand, and again, there's a change of gears. So here, b'shashu motzi mimenu lemakam acher. When you take it from elsewhere, hov also a tevel yochol elsos truma kayotzibo. Since this the other tevel, since in this case, chulin A can become challah because the shiraim is going to be somewhere else in another batch. So therefore, chulin A can become challah, and since it can become challah, so therefore, by definition, it is min b'she'eno mino in the other chulin. Again, it's halachic min b'she'eno mino because it's not yet challah. But since it could theoretically become challah, so it's halachic difference that it can become challah and elsewhere. And the chulin B obviously can't no longer become challah. Challah is already part of a part of at the gomer. Right, so therefore that halachic difference makes a min b'she'eno mino, and therefore it's batel, and therefore you can't use it to become challah makam acher. It's a brilliant dichotomy if you assume that the min b'mina min b'she'eno mino is dictated by halachic status, and a very fine difference in halachic status to boot. Now there's an explicit punchline here. I should say implicit punchline, not explicit, which is not explicit in the Gemara. Implicit. So by mincha, which got mixed up with chulin, since the shiraim are kodesh, so therefore it's a min b'she'eno mino, and the shiraim shibato, and therefore the kometz should not be able to mount the shiraim achila. So therefore, the comparison is not an apt comparison. Comparison Rabbi Bun Bar Chia wanted to make, because, or I should say, the comparison Rabbi Zir wanted to make in his to Rabbi Bun Bar Chia, because they're by their challah, which got mixed. In our case, the Isa Hatvula, the challah, which got mixed up with an Isa, which is not Tvula challah. So then, at the end, there's this halachic min b'mino, not batel. Chulin A can't be batel in chulin B because they're not comparable in the end, even though they're both chulin. One could have become challah makam acher, and one could not have become challah makam acher. So they're two different types initially. So they're two different types of chulin. So they're not batel on each other, and therefore the challah can be effective on all of the chulin. But by they're both chulin, so they're not both on each other. Different types of chulin, but they're not both on each other. That's important to make clear. They're chulin b'chulin, but they can't both on each other because they're not both on each other because they're two different types of chulin. But in the case of the mincha, which got mixed up with chulin, so then the mincha is kodesh. The chulin is chulin, so it's min b'she'eno mino. So therefore, in fact, the part of the mincha got mixed up in the chulin should be batel, and therefore the shiraim are chaser, and therefore the komet should not be effective. So the cases are not comparable to each other. Okay, that really brings us to the bottom of Lama Gimel Beis. but we should really read the first line Lamed, even though it goes on in Lamed further. But Rabbi Yosef said, Hadam Maraz, it teaches us that Tevel, which is Arva B'Truma, however, also Tevel, Yochel also Kit Truma, Kayotzebo, the Tevel which got mixed up in Truma. Since that Tevel can hope it's recording properly. Since that Tevel can become like Truma, Makam Acher, so therefore it's Mimamino, right? It's a Mimamino, which is not Bata. Again, it's a fascinating idea because it's Mimamino, not because it is actually Truma, but because it can become Truma, right? It's Tevel which can become Truma, therefore that makes it like Mimamino. It's kind of like a Migo, so therefore it's not Bata. And again, the halachic status here is being used for kula, even though it's not based on actual present reality, but on halachic possibility. Yeah, it could, since you can make this truma makam acher, so it's considered to be mina with the truma which it's mixed up, and therefore you can't make a truma makam acher because it's completely all of it, because it stands unto itself at this moment. Because it can become truma, and because it's a different type of truma, something which will become truma, something which is actually truma, it's considered to be mean b'mino, but mean b'mino it's not but, and therefore we can make a truma makam acher. Fascinating spur. Okay, as I said, the surah goes on, but that's a great Lamed already.